AFRL Commanders Challenge is a unique opportunity for young engineers, and not just engineers, but the young workforce as a whole. The teams are constructed regionally by a base. A base identifies that they want to try to compete in this year's challenge. We have psychologists on the teams, we have program managers, we have security forces personnel, we have maintenance personnel. We have some people that are on the team not really because they have any engineering background whatsoever, but they understand a certain aspect of the particular problem.
The problem is that UAS, unmanned aircraft systems, have always been around, but they are proliferating at a rate right now which is comparable to the same as smartphones have in the past. It's really easy commercial trend line for people who want to do harm to the US or to other countries to basically leverage those commercial trends and cause harm with them.
For the teens, we really wanted to instill in them, first of all, that motivation, that intrinsic reason why they join this challenge, and then build on it with characteristics, with principles, with tools, and process for innovation.
If you ask the infrastructure that we always use to solve problems, you're going to get the same answers all the time. If you ask people who haven't been presented with that problem or are new, you're going to get fresh ideas.
I saw it as basically a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially this early on in my career. It's with the whole rapid prototyping, designing, kind of going off on your own as a team. I thought it would be a good opportunity, one, to fashion my teamwork skills, but also hopefully find some sort of solution or begin to find a solution for a real-world problem that's affecting the Air Force and a lot of other services today.
And the beautiful thing is that older guys, kind of like myself, we look at a problem a certain way, and the younger generation says, hey, what if we use social media? Or what if we used our smartphones? Things that someone who didn't grow up with it, as I did not, might not have thought about. And that young, fresh perspective yields solutions that we might not have otherwise found.
I'm hoping they come up with something I've never thought of and the people that I work for have never thought of. We take a look at what was great about every single one of the projects and what's valuable, what can be taken away. Then the Air Force, once we're ready, can figure out how we're going to implement that back into our process.
In June, we were given that incredibly broad problem statement, right? Detect and defend U.S. military locations from unmanned air vehicle threats.
When you look at security and when you look at defeating threats, security is always slightly delayed from when threats actually develop. Because you can't counter, you can't guess and play the what-if game in security. So once a threat develops, that's when you start developing your countermeasures to defeat that threat.
We basically threw a bunch of darts on the board. People had these random ideas for not even just mitigation at that point, but detect, track, identify, and then mitigate.
When we realized that we weren't just trying to defeat, one model of UAV that you can buy from Walmart that's going to come in. So we couldn't build a system that was specific to one type of drone. And so we started with this architecture saying we need to connect multiple things. Now where can we be innovative?
Our concept, we wanted to give a multi-layered approach. So instead of concentrating on a specific solution for one threat or scenario, we wanted to be able to cover a couple different scenarios. So we had a multi-layered approach.
We came up with using a radar and a camera system to detect and identify the drones, and then we engaged them using a jammer. And so once it's jammed, it might land or hover, and once it goes into that mode, we can hit it with a net gun to safely capture it, retrieve it for forensic use later.
As far as engaging a UAS, we primarily opted with electronic warfare. In particular, we developed a software-defined radio platform where we can selectively disrupt signals to take down enemy UASs without necessarily disrupting our own communications.
We have two different ways of detecting, both their GPS coordinates and with the sounds that they make. And then for taking them down, we use a long-range jammer and a hunter-killer drone that has a mounted shotgun on it, 12-gauge shotgun.
Our overall concept is called the SPIDER, and that stands for Sense, Predict, intercept, deny, and recover. And it's a two-part system. There's a ground component and an airborne platform. And so the ground component is a series of electrical optical cameras and a laser designator on a gimbal, and that picks up the initial detection of an intruder. And once a intruder has been identified and tracked, it passes it over to, we have a Blue Force UAV with a net system that takes off and goes after and captures it.
We're foaming at the mouth for this because we know what it can do, and we're excited to show it off. And we want to get the reactions. You know, everybody wants to hear the oohs and ahs. We want to hear those reactions from the judges, and we're ready to win this. Let's go where the rubber meets the road. Let's get it done.
Our solution is probably very different than the others in that we've established the building blocks on which the best parts of the other solutions should be able to plug and play.
So what distinguishes Team SmartHawk's solution is it's multi-layered. We have multiple methods of detection, multiple layers of alert, multiple methodologies for takedown or mitigation.
I think we're in a very good position because our solution, it's not only capable, but it's very flexible and it's adaptable.
Well, one of the big things we look for is innovation. And we kind of judge how they solve the problem, how they tackle the problem. It's really more of an education piece for the young officers, civilians, than it is the actual solution piece that we're getting out of it.
Just seeing all the various ideas that are presented and how different approaches that are used, because one approach isn't going to solve all problems. So this is kind of a nice way of doing it.
As a judge, I'm looking for innovation. I'm not looking for somebody just to take and repackage an existing solution. That's lazy. We're looking for the people that are going to go the hard route, that are going to find an idea or try and innovate in a new space to solve this problem.
And then it'll move into and descend to 50 meters altitude.
So this particular exercise is for counter UAS operations. So we've got a red side, you know, the bad guys with platforms, the multi-rotors and the fixed-wing platforms that are simulating threats to a forward operating base type of scenario.
Right now, my favorite one to fly is the FPV racing quad. So it's a small 250 size quad rotor. It's fast, it's agile, and I get to fly it. It's all RC, so I get to pretty much make it up. A little freelancing. I get to go fast, get to go high, low, and slow, and I feel pretty confident against the other teams. I don't think they'll be able to catch me very.
Well, we've got a variety of different scenarios that involve a number of RCMAs, remotely controlled model aircraft, and also small UAS or unmanned aerial system vehicles.
I think it went good. I think we're a little disappointed, you know, we couldn't take down another UAV with our Hexhound, but once again, we still kind of are just showing a prototype and a concept, so I think it was still, you know, cool to see it flying, and there's a little disappointment there, but I still think I feel a sense of accomplishment, and I think the rest of the team does too.
We actually got the jammer working for the judges, and we were able to do a longer range test that was a little off plan, just to show them how well our jammer works at longer ranges.
We responded to some UAV threats that would have happened in the area. We picked them up on our radar. Our operator was able to pick up the drones and therefore alert the simulated security forces that would generally come out to respond to the situation.
I think we had a successful end result. I mean, we were able to jam pretty much every drone or everything they kind of put out.
Yes, we do have some successes. Flying fully autonomously with the drone just thinking for itself didn't work so well, but switching back over for it to receive stuff from like the pilot, that was fine. We can still get coordinates, we can still pass over, so all that was fine. It was just letting the drone think for itself that became a problem.
We got to knock some stuff out of the air, so to me that was a success, and getting the detect and tracking kind of going was a big success. That was our first time being able to, you know, track with the water cannon with the drone flying in the air.
Every team has had a certain amount of success. Every team has had a certain amount of failure. And every team has had a certain amount of missed opportunities. And it's interesting to hear them talk and look over the guys sitting next to them during the event to say, wow, if I would have thought of that, put it into mine, I might have been able to do this or that. And it's a whole nother level of excitement because now they've been getting to the end and they're stressed and frustrated, and then it's it's a rebirth of that excitement of the experience to see that.
One of the big things I learned is while I've worked at the Air Force Research Lab for about 5 years, I always worked sort of in a tight-knit little area where it was just sort of the people I work with directly in my lab and then a couple other labs that work under similar systems. But with this project, we went and we talked to directorates all throughout AFRL, asking them, hey, what have you guys done with either counter UAV systems or something similar? Maybe they just track missiles or they track mortar fire. Well, that's still something very small and fast. So if they can do that, then maybe we could implement it for what we're doing. And what we found is everyone was super helpful.
I didn't really realize, I kind of expected coming in that this was going to be a purely technical challenge. In my career field, we were focused on technical challenges. That's our thing. You give us a problem and hey, it's kind of like the square peg in a round hole. Like, this is what we got, this is where we need to go. Try to take in all those personnel challenges and learn how to manage a team, how to keep everybody in good spirits, and even just down to like when we were on the range yesterday, you could take your time and slowly get things set up, but to keep that morale driven and say, all right guys, we're going to get out there, get unloaded faster than everybody else, we're going to get set up, and we're going to be sitting there calibrating while everybody else is still wrenching on parts.
I'm a student of leadership. And this provided an awesome leadership laboratory for me. I learned that leading a group of civilians, especially a group of civilian engineers, is a challenging task. Once you're able to kind of mold a team into a cohesive unit, it really comes together.